Hello, I'm Chris Athas. I'm a KMP developer. Tech support's coming out Tuesday for that bad boy. Close that up finally. Today I'm going to be getting into something I've been working on, and I mentioned in a couple of my videos something I call adventure-driven development. And this is as an opposition to Agile, Scrum, Waterfall methodology that came along. Well, was Waterfall's always been there, but these kinds of methodologies I'm talking about, the agile stuff was like an answer to the waterfall and trying to get their projects done on time. And this is a whole different thing. It has some flavors of that stuff left, but this is something I picked up from doing. Well, I'll get into it. I'll just get the little quote here. Agile has become confused and meaningless. Agile, copyright, registered trademark, has become confused and meaningless. Scrum is a minor detail at best. Like how we actually do the meetings and all that stuff is like, okay, that's all right. Okay, whatever. Time estimates are fantasies and pure technical debt. Okay, so all this time estimates, all this how we do the meetings, which meeting goes where, that's sort of this is missing the point completely. Agile kind of tried to get on into it in some of it, but now it doesn't really. It's not a process. It's some set of ideas that you're supposed to try and figure out. It was just too much for people. 4 sentences was just, it was not enough for people to cling on to. So they filled in the gaps. And a lot of this was because the true agile, which I'm talking, was kind of the ADD is this adventure-driven development is really kind of in the nature of what those guys are trying to get at and what they saw working. It was actually super fun to work with. Was the stuff that kind of ADD gets back into. And I picked this stuff up from being so early in this software development game, being into computers in the 70s. The adventure Dungeons and Dragons became a huge thing. So everyone got together. You basically made up in your mind like these campaigns with these characters, and it was so much fun, and like people did it just to do it, and it kind of fell out of favor a little bit when the video game craze hit. But it was right before the video game craze became really huge, and there's all these guys playing in these stores. There were these stores with video games, or not video games, but like box games. There's these stores probably still do exist, but there's not many of them left. You have to be pretty hardcore. But like they have all these little box games. There's a lot of stuff is reading. And guys getting around and being super like kind of nerdy about this stuff and like playing these fantasy games and basically authoring adventures. I think some of these people were actually writing books as well. Some of the early people I worked with, dungeon masters, which are just really directors. The dungeon master thing is really kind of just a funny kind of a word, but it's really like the director of the experience. And these guys would like. At the time, like these books were, let me see here. So these books here, so they kind of look like this. They're very plain looking, lots of text. The images were very like homemade. You really had to use your imagination. If you actually read the descriptions of these things, you had this imagination. So it was a very imagination focused process. And let me use this video. That out of the way. Studying old war techniques. So this process like kind of came out of that time, the period of like, what can we do and what can we do with what we have? And there are a lot of people, like one of my neighbors introduced me to Dungeons and Dragons, and I found the store and I started playing there. And amazing. Like they were making up games and making up stuff, storylines and all this crazy stuff. It was like a Star Wars crossover also, guys. So there'd be like 1 week will be like Dungeons and Dragons. Next week would be this Star Wars game. And then next week would be this space flight game. And yeah, it was all hand done with paper and pencil. It was just amazing. And you would, even just watching the people play, because the dungeon masters and the directors are so good, they would make it look so fun. So through that process, you had to learn how to like overcome obstacles, experiment, and that's what I hear. So it's inspired by the thrill and unpredictability of fantasy adventure gaming. It emphasizes exploration, experimentation, and also like protecting your party too. Like you're not just haphazardly going through this thing. When your character died, it died, and it was horrible. Like you didn't want that to happen, so you still wanted to go through the dungeon and get stuff, but you had to be safe with it. So a lot of this constant playing, video game thing, just Twitch game without any thinking involved, without any imagination, we've lost some of that stuff. So this style of software development kind of brings that stuff back in. It's like this crossover. Yeah. So when I started going into like these software businesses, it was like the first one was this gaming company, so they had that vibe coming through already, because a lot of these people were gamers and they're making video games based on the experiences that they were having. You can see some of the games that are produced. You can go look up Silicon Beach software. It went from this gaming company turned into this production software. So they did like Super Paint and all this other Supercard and all this other early desktop publishing software. And they came with that same kind of vibe. And it was like, okay, this is awesome. This is like super. I've come to realize that like the early days with that stuff, there was a lot of that going on. But most people have no idea that was even possible. And it was a thing. But this is where the Agile people kind of picked up some of that stuff. And they tried to bring it into the 90s. And it worked for a little while, but it's definitely failed now. So what I call modern pseudo-agile, TM, copyright, registered trademark, certification, license, board, step by step, all that stuff, which came from the Scrum stuff, which is like the factory manufacturing adjacent, where they force injected these practices. Well, might as well, if you need meetings, we got Scrum. It's working over here on the Toyota factory floor. It's like, we're not making Toyotas. It's not a factory. That's not what we're doing. So we're not refining something. This is not for refining something. This is for exploring a new market in a new way. So here's how I see it. So you start off with your tutorials. This is the mountain here as it goes up. You can't really see what's going on here. This is also something DMs, Dungeon Masters used to do on these games. They would cover up stuff so you don't really know where things are on the map until you get there. And that was a lot of fun too, where they wouldn't even put the pieces out. Usually they just leave the pieces gone, but they would have it in their little map. And if you wanted, you're always trying to see what's around the corner. It's like the map's all symbology and stuff. So it's all like notes from the guy that made the dungeon and the campaign, and that you're actually fully experiencing. It was just amazing, these guys. Anyway, so you're down here, you started tutorials, and you move on to your personal. If you're smart, you'll start to do some more personal projects. Most people don't know how to get out of that. This is kind of where the boot camps are in here too. This is where your boot camp level, and the junior and mid-level roles you've had to equal, like the computer science course, be good hardcore enough in the boot camp to be at that level, or to go through a computer science course and slog through all that craziness that you have to go through these days. And then if you do that for a few years, you'll automatically kind of move up into the senior roles and lead roles. And then you'll end up possibly over here on tunnels of fake agile. So as soon as you get up here, you're in the tunnels of fake agile, doom and death marches. So you're getting somebody up high that you've trusted says, here's the thing we want to have made. And not how we're going to make it, or was this the best way to make it, or is there another way we could possibly do this that makes more sense? No, here's how we want, this is what we want done, do it. So there's your tickets, there's your cutting time, if you can, and cutting people's staff that can't hack through this. And the drum march is on. To every sprint, every 2 weeks, just here's a new ticket, here's some new Jira stuff. Fake agile, big design up front, shrinking market size, because they already know what they want. So, because they have such a long time frame before this thing's finished, it's probably nothing like they're going to do competition, which we'll talk about the lava lakes of competition. So the original team is long gone. There's a lot of these legacy projects. We just got to move on. We just fix all the bugs. And this is the production line stuff that people will get involved in. If you're not careful, you will be put into one of these things, because you assume that the people have checked, right? You assume that everybody knows what they're doing, right? Okay. So it's also fixing legacy projects made by inexperienced developers, which are these people up here. Okay. And that's normal. We all have to go through this. This is why I'm going to map this out, because these are things that if you haven't gone through these things yet, if you don't know about these fake agile Doom, tunnels of fake agile Doom, and the death marches. It's good to know about them because the stuff I'm going to be bringing up in adventure driven development is going to be like, what are you talking about, man? What are you coming up with this? This makes no sense. It's like, oh, but it do. there's specific, real specific reasons why I'm going to be talking about these things in this way. All right. And the second thing is, okay, if you skip by that, okay, I got out of the tunnel march, the tunnel fucking agile, tunnel of doom. Sorry, I swear, this is going to be swearing, so if your kids are around, you might want to have them leave the room. Okay, so here's the tar pit of seemingly, so I got a great idea for a company. It's like, after you've gone up this arduous mountain, almost vertical climb, I got this great idea for a new social media site. Ooh, I got this new market. I just need to get the buyers and the sellers to get them on the platform. But maybe faking it a little bit. Dating sites? I have a dating site for people with herpes. I was like, no, I don't want to be no. But it's a big market. A lot of people have herpes, as you know. And we just build it. If we just build the market, if we just build the dating site, if we just build the social media site, people are just going to come in droves because they have no other alternative. But look at how big. If we just get 1% of that market. So silly. Anyway, you get stuck in those for a while, and then you're like, God damn it, not another one of these. And then you finally discover, like, okay, there's a category of things called tar pits, and which maybe I'll put a link in here eventually. About like, oh, this looks like a good idea. Let's blow all our money in. And then you get up here like, oh shit. Okay, so let's go find something that's makes sense. It's like, oh, there's another business over there. It's like, oh, okay, well maybe you'll make one of these that'll compete with somebody else that's already out there because you kind of copycat. It's like, oh, we're just gonna do the LinkedIn for XYZ. Or we're gonna do the stack. We're gonna do the Stack Overflow for la 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 la. As if not Stack Overflow doesn't already have a bunch of them. So are you really gonna do that? Okay, well if you do, you're gonna compete with those guys who saw you coming a mile away and already kind of figured that anybody that comes close to them is gonna either get soaked up because they're gonna get destroyed by the competition. Right, because you're competing, you're using the same structures, you're using the same management, you're using the same software, you're writing with the same code in the same style, in the same way that you've heard. Gonna get the microservices, right? That's the latest thing. These people are so brutal. I think a lot of times they put stuff out telling you how they're doing it, so they can let you go in and get tangled up in the weeds, thinking that that's the way to do it. Then when you have more servers than customers. So anyway, so you're trying to be we're just gonna be the low price leader. Yeah, that's all right. So if you go above that, you get into some legacy projects, some big combination. If it's a Fortune 500 company, Fortune 50 company, it says you do COBOL. That's like, look, man. There's a dungeon. So it's this dungeon grind. You're going to do a dungeon grind. This. So you don't know it's like you don't know all the stuff. You don't know who's been in here. You don't know what these things, what these symbols are. You don't know the original team's gone. There's no documentation. You're going to be going room to room, hacking and slashing. You're going to have to figure it out. And it's probably going to, and there's no tests. Right? There's no test. So, and there's like nobody really had a plan because they just want to get this out the door, build it real quick and move on that thing, break things, move fast, break things. Okay. Yeah, right. Okay. Okay, so that's a big design up front again. But now we're at the big companies that really know what they're doing. It's so brutal. It's so brutal. This is such a mess. But this is what we're dealing with. It's a waterfall, but they don't call it waterfall. We came in with an agile coach. There's a scrum guy on this guy. He's going to whip you every sprint to get your tickets done. It's just another ticket march. Ticket march. It's a dungeon grind. I was like, yes. There's a total soul is sucked out of the thing. There's no joy to just wake up, do the ticket, get the ticket done, go to sleep, wake up, do the ticket. No control over which one really, what we're trying to do, how we're building this thing, the technology we're using, how, is this actually useful? Do people want this? Can we start over? No. And then when we just get over there, it's like, oh shit, okay, we don't want to do a dungeon grind. So we gotta use some of this technology I've heard about, this latest thing. We got the new, we got the AI now. Right before that, we had the microservices, and woo, whatever the latest thing is, we got whatever the bandwagon is. We got crypto. It was an empty. It was all. What is it? What do they call them? Those fucking those the little art pieces. What the hell are they called? Anyway, yeah, there's always some new thing. Oh, an on-chain. We're gonna do an on-chain blockchain thing. It's like, yes, tech solutions looking for a problem. More servers than customers. So there's some. It's scientific. It's big time, big deal. It's a lot of people working on it and doing some amazing technology. But are you really solving a problem? Maybe. It's a lead mine. Somebody needs lead. Somebody out there will buy it, but usually not. So you found the technology, but no customers, right? So that's a problem. And if you keep going along there, you're gonna be pretty good after going through all this slog. You're gonna be doing all this other stuff here. You're gonna get some talent going on here. So you're gonna be able to get some projects done. So people are gonna start to come to you like, oh, you know how to fix our problem. And you can start a consultancy, right? A dev agency, a consulting, a contracting. And you can be conquering these little bugs, man. Sometimes they get a big bug. You get a real big bug. Oh no, I got a bunch of clients because I'm the problem solver. I can take their crappy code that they've built with people that hardly know what they're doing, right? And they've now solved the issues enough to like, okay. I'll show you this little thing here in a second. This is my little diagram showing what happens. So you like understand the tools down here at the junior tutorial, right? Then you're going to use these tools. This is called the Valachian continuous improvement skills pyramid, right? So you use the tools, and you get some leadership skills, and then using some more advanced tools, right? And then you're now developing systems. So I'm kind of in this developing systems and mentoring thing level because I've been through this stuff so bad, and I'm just like, hey man, there is a way to do this. But the thing is, somebody has to give up control, right? Somebody has to take control, right? And it's like you kind of have to be willing to put up with risk, and people don't like that. I get it, man. So as soon as you get in there and start, fighting these scorpion creatures, you're gonna be able to eat pretty well. You're gonna eat pretty well, but you're gonna go for the silver. I call the silver coins level. So you're gonna be set. You're gonna be doing good, but you're gonna be fixing these people's stuff, and you're gonna be like, why these people not want to change some of their stuff to be a little bit like make more sense, more easy? It's like, well, we're going to this other thing that I see that it's like, well, if you can see the opening to the tunnel that has the big prize that you can see, and you can see a way up there, that's when you're on the epic quest. Yeah. That's when you're on the epic quest. When you've decided seeing all this stuff down here, going, no, this is when you're on the big dragon, right? There's all kinds of different dragons, all kinds of little things. Some people call this the blue ocean. They're like, you're going to some place that other people haven't been, or you're niching down into something that people just wouldn't think to go to because you found a way to do it cheaper, faster, easier with less people. Somehow, some way. I don't know what that is. But you're meeting customer. This is meeting that advanced level customer need that you can only see after you have had insights on how to build stuff, on how to talk to people, and how to deal with all this crap down here. Because the first thing you're gonna have to deal with is people that are coming up this level, and maybe they haven't done a dungeon ground, maybe they haven't hit a tar pit, maybe they haven't been a lava lake where they burned up all their capital. With advertising trying to compete against these guys who are totally ready for them. It's like, you want to give up? We can just acquire you, and you can give up this whole silly thing, lava field. You don't think they see you coming in the lava field? Anyway, so you're up here, and this bastard is hard to tame, but it is possible to tame him. It is possible, and he's guarding the big gold cup, which is if you can get in this guy and do battle, just do battle with him, in a reasonable way, you're gonna be you're in a different category now. You're in this heroic level category, and it doesn't mean heroic efforts, but it does mean you're going into the dark tunnels, and you're going against these foes that are really different, very difficult to beat. Because if they were easy to beat, you don't think these little scorpion people will get up in there? They're trying to get up in there. They're stuck. They're stuck down here, right? So they'll go down here and pick up some of these guys, which is dangerous because some of these guys like to go into the lead mines, man. They will implement stuff that makes no sense. Stuff that makes no sense. All right. So in the next section, I'm going to believe trying to do these at 20 minutes. The next section, so this is never going to be a one size fits all. The next section is going to be the big idea is you got to make it fun to get it done. And that'll be it for this part one. I'm going to continue on with part two. And you'll find links to all the stuff in the diddly do down there. So, like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you very soon.